Marcus Chen stood like a stone wall beside Princess Lirelei as she spoke with the diplomats. His eyes never stopped moving, watching every face, every hand, every shadow in the Great Hall. 3 years of protecting the princess had made him see danger everywhere. The peace talks were important. Very important. The Centauri colony needed this treaty with the Zephyrian Empire, or they might face war. Princess Lirelei was young but smart. She knew how to talk to these alien creatures with their crystal scales and cold eyes. Marcus remembered the day he first met the princess. He was dying on a battlefield on Titan, his squad gone, his body broken. The princess and her medical team found him there. They could have left him. Most people would have. But she ordered her doctors to save him. She stayed by his bed for 3 days, while he fought for life. When he woke up, she was there. "You fought well, soldier," she said. "If you want, you can fight for something better now. Fight for peace instead of war." He had been her bodyguard ever since. Not because they paid him well. Not because it was easy work. He stayed because she had given him a second chance at life. She had seen something worth saving in a broken soldier, and he would never forget that. The Zephyrian delegates were tall and moved like ice. Their leader, someone called Empress Vexthara, was not here today. She sent others to speak for her. Marcus did not trust them. He did not trust anyone who might hurt the princess. "The trade agreement looks good," Princess Lirelei was saying. "But we need promises about the mining rights on our outer planets." The lead Zephyrian, Ambassador Krell Knox, nodded slowly. "The Empress will consider this. She is interested in your world and its people." Something about the way he said "interested" made Marcus step closer to the princess. His hand moved toward his weapon. He had learned to trust his gut feelings. Right now, his gut was screaming that something was wrong. "Perhaps we should take a break," the princess said, noticing Marcus's movement. She knew his signals well. That was when the lights went out. Marcus moved faster than thought. His body crashed into the princess, pushing her down behind the heavy stone table. The plasma blast that would have burned through her chest hit him instead. The pain was like being struck by lightning, but he did not make a sound. More shots came from the darkness. Marcus rolled over the table, pulling his gun. His left shoulder was on fire where the plasma had hit, but his right arm still worked. He could still fight. The attackers wore black masks and moved like professionals. 6 of them, maybe 7. They had planned this well, cutting the power, blocking the exits. But they had made one mistake. They thought one wounded bodyguard would be easy to handle. Marcus was not easy to handle. He shot the first attacker before the man could reload his plasma rifle. The second one tried to run, but Marcus was already moving. Even wounded, even bleeding, he was faster than they expected. His knife found the attacker's throat before the man could call for help. The other attackers spread out, trying to surround him. Marcus smiled in the dark. He had fought in worse places than this. He had survived battles where whole armies died. A few assassins in a fancy room did not scare him. He used the heavy chairs as shields, moving between them like a ghost. Every shot they took, he answered with 2. His shoulder screamed with pain. But pain was just information. It told him he was still alive, still fighting. The princess was safe behind the stone table. That was all that mattered. The 5th attacker tried to circle around toward the princess. Marcus saw him moving and threw his knife. It spun through the air and caught the man in the chest. The attacker fell without a sound. 2 left. Marcus could hear them breathing in the darkness. They were scared now. Good. Scared enemies made mistakes. One of them panicked and started shooting wildly. Marcus dropped to the floor and rolled toward the muzzle flashes. He came up behind the shooter and broke his neck with his good arm. The last attacker was smart. He stayed quiet, stayed still. But Marcus knew where he was. The smell of sweat and fear gave him away. "Come out," Marcus called. "It is over." The man stepped into the dim light from the windows. He was young, maybe 20. His hands shook as he pointed his gun at Marcus. "You killed my friends," the young man said. "They tried to kill my princess," Marcus replied. "Bad choice." The young assassin's finger tightened on the trigger. Marcus was too far away to stop him, too slow with his wounded shoulder. The gun was pointed right at his heart. But the princess was safe. That was enough. The shot never came. The young man looked down at the knife, sticking out of his chest, confused. Princess Lirelei stood behind him, her face white but determined. She had picked up Marcus's thrown knife and used it to save her protector. "Marcus!" she cried out as he fell to his knees. The pain was catching up with him now. The plasma wound was deeper than he thought. His vision was getting dark around the edges. "I am fine," he whispered, though they both knew he was lying. "You are safe. That is what matters." The princess caught him as he collapsed. Her tears fell on his face as the darkness took him. From the shadows, hidden cameras recorded everything. Far away, on a ship between the stars, Empress Vexthara watched the human bodyguard sacrifice himself for his princess. She rewound the recording and watched it again. "Fascinating," she whispered to herself. "Absolutely fascinating." Marcus woke up in a hospital bed 3 days later. The first thing he saw was Princess Lirelei sleeping in a chair next to him. Her hand rested on his arm, and there were dark circles under her eyes. "Princess," he whispered. His throat felt like sand. She woke up instantly. "Marcus!" "Thank the stars," the doctors said. "They said you might not wake up." Her voice was thick with worry. He tried to sit up, but pain shot through his shoulder and chest. The plasma burn had gone deep, almost to the bone. "The attackers, all dead," she said quietly. "The investigation found they were hired by the Outer Rim rebels. They wanted to stop the peace talks." She squeezed his hand. "You saved my life." "That is my job," he said, trying to smile. "No," she said firmly. "Friends save each other. That is what you did. You were my friend, and I was yours." Marcus felt strange about her words. In 3 years, she had never called him friend before. He was her bodyguard, her protector. But maybe, she was right. Over the next 2 weeks, Princess Lirelei visited him every day. She brought him books, food from his home country on Earth, and news about the peace talks. The negotiations had stopped after the attack, but they would start again soon. "The Zephyrian Empress wants to meet you," she said one afternoon. "She heard about what happened and asked specific questions about you." "About me?" Marcus was confused. Why would an alien empress care about a bodyguard? "I do not know," the princess admitted. "But she is coming here in person. That has never happened before. Empress Vexthara never leaves her home world." Marcus touched the new scars on his shoulder. The doctors had done good work, but the marks would never fade. He did not mind. Scars were proof that he had done his duty. Far away on the Zephyrian home world, Empress Vexthara studied everything she could find about humans. She read military reports, medical studies, and psychological profiles. But most of all, she watched the recording of Marcus protecting the princess. Her people, the Zephyrians, were logical creatures. They did not understand emotions like love, loyalty, or sacrifice. Thousands of years ago, they had evolved past such feelings. They thought emotions made people weak and stupid. But watching Marcus fight, watching him take a plasma blast meant for someone else, the Empress began to think her people might have lost something important. Her own bodyguards were efficient. They protected her because it was their job, and because she paid them well. But if someone offered them more money, they might switch sides. If the danger became too great, they might run away. Logic told them to save themselves first. Marcus had not been logical. He had thrown himself into deadly danger to save the princess. He had fought when he should have retreated. He had nearly died when he could have lived by letting her die instead. And he had done it all for free. No payment could buy that kind of loyalty. "Bring me General Korthak," the Empress commanded. The general appeared within minutes. He was old for a Zephyrian, his crystal scales dull with age. He had served the royal family for 60 years. "You have seen the human recordings?" the Empress asked. "Yes, Your Majesty." Impressive fighting skills for such a small creature. "What did you think of his tactical choices?" General Korthak paused. "Poor choices. He should have called for backup immediately. He should have evacuated the princess instead of engaging the enemy. He took unnecessary risks. But he won," the Empress pointed out. "Yes, but only through luck and the enemy's mistakes." The Empress studied her oldest general. "And if I were in that room, General? If assassins came for me, what would you do?" "I would assess the situation logically. If the odds were good, I would fight. If not, I would evacuate you to safety. And if evacuating me meant leaving yourself behind to face the assassins alone?" The general's eyes went cold. "I would weigh the costs and benefits, Your Majesty. My life versus yours. The value I bring to the Empire versus your value. If the mathematics favored your survival over mine, I would stay behind." "Mathematics," the Empress repeated softly. But the human had not used mathematics. He had used something else, something the Zephyrians had forgotten how to understand. The Empress made a decision that would change everything. "Prepare my personal fleet," she commanded. "We are going to the Centauri colony." "Your Majesty?" General Korthak looked shocked. "You have not left this world in 20 years. The security risks. 1. Will be acceptable," she finished. "I want to meet this human bodyguard in person. I want to understand what drives him." What the Empress did not say was that her empire was falling apart from the inside. Rebellions were starting on 6 different worlds. Her own nobles plotted against her. Her generals sold information to her enemies. Logic and mathematics had given them technology and power, but it had not given them trust. Maybe, she thought, it was time to learn from the humans. Maybe emotions were not weakness after all. Maybe loyalty was not stupidity. Maybe the key to saving her empire lay in understanding why one human would die for another. Back on the Centauri colony, Marcus was finally strong enough to leave the hospital. Princess Lirelei walked beside him as they went to her gardens. It was his favorite place in the palace. Quiet and peaceful. "The Empress will arrive tomorrow," she told him. "Are you ready to meet her?" Marcus looked at his hands. They were steady now, healed. "I am ready for whatever comes, Princess." "I always am." She smiled at him, but her eyes looked worried. Neither of them knew that their lives were about to change forever. Neither of them knew that an alien empress was coming to claim the most loyal human in the galaxy. But Marcus Chen had faced the unknown before. Whatever happened tomorrow, he would face it the same way he faced everything, standing between danger and the person he had sworn to protect. The Zephyrian fleet appeared in the sky like a metal storm. 50 ships, each one bigger than the largest building on the Centauri colony. At the center flew the Empress's personal vessel, a massive black ship that blotted out the sun. Marcus stood on the palace balcony, watching the ships land. He had never seen so much alien technology in one place. His soldier's mind automatically counted weapons, estimated crew sizes, calculated how long the colony could hold out if this turned into a fight. Not long, he decided. Maybe an hour. Impressive, is it not? Princess Lirelei joined him on the balcony. She wore her finest dress, blue silk with silver trim, the colors of the Centauri colony. Impressive and dangerous, Marcus replied. He wore his dress uniform, the one with all his medals from the Titan Wars. If he was going to meet an alien empress, he would look like the soldier he was. She asked specifically to meet you, the princess said again. I still do not understand why. Marcus did not understand either. But he had learned to trust his instincts. And right now, they were telling him to be very careful. The Empress arrived with a parade of guards. Marcus counted 20 Zephyrian soldiers, each one 8 feet tall and armed with weapons that could level buildings. But it was the Empress herself who made him stare. Empress Vexthara was beautiful in a terrifying way. Her crystal scales shifted from blue to silver as she moved, and her eyes glowed like ice in winter. She moved like a predator, graceful and deadly. When she looked at Marcus, he felt like a mouse being studied by a cat. So, she said in perfect human language, you are the legendary bodyguard I have heard about. I am Marcus Chen, Your Majesty, he replied with a bow. Protector of Princess Lirelei. Yes. The human who takes plasma blasts, meant for others. The human who fights when he should run. The human who chooses death before failure. Her voice was like music made of ice. Marcus said nothing. He did not like where this conversation was going. I would like to see a demonstration, the Empress continued. My people tell me that human combat skills are adequate. I wish to judge for myself. Princess Lirelei stepped forward. Your Majesty, Marcus is still recovering from his injuries. I am fine, Princess, Marcus said quietly. He looked at the Empress. What did you have in mind, Your Majesty? The Empress smiled, showing teeth like white diamonds. A simple test. My guards will create scenarios. You will respond as you see fit. Nothing more dangerous than your usual duties, I assure you. Marcus knew she was lying. Nothing about this felt simple or safe, but refusing an alien Empress while she had 50 warships overhead would be extremely bad for diplomatic relations. I serve at your pleasure, Your Majesty, he said. The first test was easy. Zephyrian soldiers pretended to attack the princess with practice weapons. Marcus positioned himself between them and her, deflecting their strikes and countering with precise movements. He was fast, but not too fast. Strong, but not stronger than he needed to be. The second test was harder. The attackers used real weapons set to low power. The energy blasts stung when they hit, but would not kill. Marcus took several hits protecting the princess, but he did not fall back. The third test made his blood run cold. The Zephyrians brought out weapons that fired actual plasma bolts. Low-powered ones, they said, but Marcus knew better. A plasma bolt was a plasma bolt. Even a weak one could burn through armor. Your Majesty, Princess Lirelei protested. This is too dangerous. Danger is the point, the Empress replied. How can we test courage without risk? The attack came from 3 directions at once. Marcus grabbed the princess and dove behind a stone pillar as plasma bolts exploded around them. He could feel the heat through his uniform. One attacker tried to circle around the pillar. Marcus left the princess's side for exactly 3 seconds, long enough to tackle the soldier and take his weapon. He rolled back to cover just as another bolt scorched the air where his head had been. The princess was scared. He could see it in her eyes. But she trusted him to keep her safe. Marcus popped up from behind the pillar and fired twice. Both shots hit their targets in the chest, knocking the Zephyrian soldiers down. They were wearing armor, so the shots did not kill them, but they were out of the fight. The third soldier was smarter. He stayed behind his own cover and called out, Surrender, human. You are outnumbered. Never, Marcus called back. The soldier tried to wait him out, but Marcus was patient. He had been trained by the best soldiers in human space. He could wait all day if needed. Finally, the Zephyrian made a mistake. He moved too far from his cover, trying to get a better angle. Marcus put a plasma bolt right through his shoulder, spinning him around and dropping him to the ground. Excellent, the Empress said, clapping slowly. But Marcus knew the tests were not over. The Empress's eyes told him that worse was coming. The final test shocked everyone. The Empress herself stepped into the training area, removing her ceremonial robes to reveal armor underneath. "One final demonstration," she announced. "Single combat. You against me." "Your Majesty," Princess Lirelei gasped. "Surely this is not necessary." "It is completely necessary," the Empress replied. "I must know his limits." Marcus looked at the alien Empress. She was twice his size and probably 3 times as strong. Her people had evolved for thousands of years to be perfect killers. Fighting her would be like a mouse challenging a lion. But he saw the challenge in her ice-blue eyes. This was not really about combat. This was about something else. Something he did not understand. Yet. "No weapons?" he asked. "No weapons," she agreed. They created a holographic projection of Princess Lirelei at the center of the training area. "Protect her," the Empress commanded. Marcus positioned himself between the hologram and the Empress. When she moved, he moved to intercept her. She was fast, faster than any human could be. Her first punch would have shattered his ribs if he had not rolled with it. He hit the ground hard but came up swinging. His punch connected with her armor and did exactly nothing. She backhanded him across the training area, like he was made of paper. Blood ran from his nose, but Marcus got back up. The holographic princess stood behind him, helpless and frightened. Real or not, he would not let anyone reach her. The Empress attacked again, and again Marcus threw himself in her path. She was stronger, faster, and better armored, but he kept getting back up. Every time she knocked him down, he stood again. "Stay down," she finally said, after knocking him flat for the 6th time. "You cannot win." Marcus spat blood and pushed himself to his knees. "I do not need to win," he gasped. "I just need to keep you away from her." The Empress stared at him for a long moment. Then, she did something that shocked everyone in the room. She knelt down beside the beaten human and helped him to his feet. "You have passed every test," she said softly. "But I have one more question for you." Marcus swayed on his feet but stayed standing. "Yes, Your Majesty? How much would it cost to buy your loyalty? Name your price. Anything you want." Marcus looked at her like she had asked him to count the stars. "My loyalty is not for sale, Your Majesty." "Everything is for sale," the Empress insisted. "Money, power, your own planet to rule. What would it take?" "Nothing," Marcus said simply. "I swore an oath to protect the princess. Oaths cannot be bought or sold." The Empress smiled again, but this time it was not cold. It was almost warm. "Perfect," she whispered. Then, louder, she said, "I claim this human under the ancient laws of the Zephyrian Empire. He will serve as my personal guardian." The room went silent. Princess Lirelei went white as paper. "Your Majesty," she said in a shaking voice, "you cannot simply take him." "I can," the Empress replied, "and I will. The peace treaty depends on it." "Refuse. And my fleet will leave. Your world will face the Outer Rim rebels alone." 2. Marcus felt the world spin around him. He looked at the princess, saw the pain in her eyes, and knew his life had just changed forever. The throne room of the Centauri Palace had never felt so cold. Princess Lirelei sat in her father's chair, but she looked small and lost. Around the table sat her advisors, all of them arguing at once. "We cannot give in to these demands," shouted General Morrison, the colony's military leader. "If we let them take one of our people, what will they demand next?" "We also cannot fight 50 Zephyrian warships," replied Chancellor Adams, the head diplomat. "Our entire fleet has 12 ships, and most of them are cargo vessels." Marcus stood at attention behind the princess's chair, exactly where he had stood for 3 years. But everything felt different now. The Empress had given them 1 day to decide. 1 day to choose between his freedom and the safety of millions of people. "There has to be another way." Princess Lirelei said quietly. Some other solution. I am afraid not, Your Highness, Chancellor Adams replied sadly. The Empress was very clear. She wants Marcus Chen as her personal bodyguard. She offers technology worth billions, trade agreements that would make us rich, and protection from our enemies. But only if we agree to her terms. And if we refuse? The princess asked. Then her fleet leaves, and we face the Outer Rim Rebellion alone. Our intelligence says they are planning a major attack within weeks. Without Zephyrian support, we will lose. Marcus had heard enough. Princess, he said quietly. She turned to look at him, and he saw tears in her eyes. Marcus, you know what you have to do, he said gently. You have always known. A good leader puts her people first. You are my people too, she whispered. I am one person. There are 12 million people on this colony. The choice is easy. Not for me, she said. Never for me. Marcus knelt beside her chair. Princess, 3 years ago you saved my life. You gave me purpose when I had nothing. Now, I can repay that debt. I can save all the lives you care about. I do not want your life as payment for mine, she said fiercely. I want you to live free. I will live, Marcus promised. And I will serve with honor, just as I have served you. The Empress is not evil, just different. I can learn to protect her the way I have protected you. General Morrison slammed his fist on the table. This is insane. We cannot just hand over our citizens to alien empires. What choice do we have? Chancellor Adams shot back. Fight a war we cannot win? Watch our world burn? Marcus stood up. General, I volunteered for dangerous missions my whole military career. This is just another mission. This is slavery. General Morrison said angrily. No, Marcus replied calmly. Slavery is forcing someone to serve against their will. I choose this. I choose to protect the people I care about. The only way I can. Princess Lirelei was quiet for a long time. Everyone in the room waited for her decision. Finally, she spoke. I need to talk to the Empress again. Alone. An hour later, Princess Lirelei and Marcus stood in the palace gardens. The Empress waited for them under the old oak tree, surrounded by her crystal-armored guards. Have you decided? The Empress asked. I have questions first, the princess replied. Why Marcus? Why not money or resources or technology? What makes one human so valuable to you? The Empress was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer than before. My empire is dying, Princess. Not from outside enemies, but from inside weakness. My people have forgotten how to trust each other. My generals sell secrets to rebels. My nobles plot against me. My own bodyguards would abandon me if someone offered them better pay. End quote. She gestured toward Marcus. But this human threw himself between death and someone he cares about. He fought when logic said he should run. He chose duty over survival. My people call such behavior stupid. But I think we are the stupid ones. We have logic and technology. But we have lost something more important. And you think Marcus can teach your people to be loyal? Princess Lirelei asked. I think he can teach me, the Empress replied honestly. And perhaps I can learn to be worthy of loyalty instead of simply demanding it. The princess looked at Marcus. He nodded slightly, letting her know he understood what the Empress was really asking for. I have a counter-proposal, Princess Lirelei said suddenly. The Empress raised one crystal eyebrow. Marcus comes with you, but not alone. I come too, as a cultural advisor. If you want to understand human loyalty, you need to understand the bonds that create it. Marcus is loyal to me because we trust each other, care for each other. Take him away from that, and you get a skilled bodyguard. Nothing more. You would leave your world? The Empress asked, surprised. For him, yes. He has sacrificed everything for me. Now I sacrifice for him. Marcus started to protest, but the princess held up her hand. This is my choice, Marcus, just as serving the Empress is yours. The Empress studied both humans carefully. You would both come willingly? As a team? We would? The princess confirmed. On one condition. This arrangement lasts 1 year. After that, if you are satisfied with our service, we negotiate a new agreement. If not, we return home. And if I refuse your counter-proposal? Princess Liralei's eyes went hard as steel. Then Marcus stays here, and you can explain to your empire why the peace talks failed. We will take our chances with the rebels. For a moment, Marcus thought the Empress might get angry. Her guards shifted nervously, hands moving toward their weapons. But then she did something unexpected. She laughed. Brilliant, the Empress said, clapping her hands. Absolutely brilliant. You protect him by coming along, and he protects you by accepting my original offer. Each of you sacrificing for the other. This is exactly what I hope to see. She walked closer to both humans. Very well. I accept your counter-proposal. 1 year of service, both of you together. But understand this. My empire is dangerous. There will be assassination attempts, rebellions, political games that make your colonial politics look like children's arguments. Are you prepared for that? Marcus and Princess Liralee looked at each other. They had been through assassins, political plots, and deadly enemies before. We are prepared, Marcus said. Then we have an agreement. The Empress declared. Tomorrow, you both come aboard my flagship. Tonight, you say goodbye to your home. As the Empress and her guards walked away, Princess Liralee took Marcus's hand. Are you angry with me? She asked. For making this choice without asking you? Marcus squeezed her hand gently. Princess, for 3 years you have made choices to protect your people. Tonight, you made a choice to protect me. How could I be angry about that? What if we cannot come home after a year? What if serving her changes us into different people? Marcus looked up at the stars where the Zephyrian fleet waited. Then we change together. Whatever comes next, we face it the same way we have faced everything. Together, she agreed. Neither of them knew that high above, Empress Vex Thara watched them through her ship's cameras. Neither of them knew that she was beginning to understand what she had really gained. Not just a bodyguard. Not just an advisor. She had gained her first lesson in what made humans special. They chose to protect each other, even when logic said they should protect themselves. Tomorrow, her real education would begin. 6 months aboard the Empress's flagship had changed everything. Marcus stood at the observation deck, watching the stars drift by as the massive ship traveled between worlds. Behind him, he could hear Princess Liralee teaching a group of young Zephyrian officers about human diplomatic techniques. The ship was like a floating city. 20,000 crew members, enough weapons to destroy planets, and technology that still amazed Marcus every day. But what amazed him most was how much the crew had changed since he and the princess arrived. Marcus, a voice called behind him. He turned to see Commander Thyson approaching. The Zephyrian officer was young for her species, only 40 years old, with bright green crystal scales. Commander. Marcus nodded politely. The Empress requests your presence in the war room. We have received intelligence about rebel movements on the third moon of Kepler 7. Marcus sighed. More rebels. In the past 6 months, he had helped stop 3 assassination attempts, 2 bombing plots, and 1 full-scale rebellion. Being the Empress's bodyguard was even more dangerous than protecting the princess had been. The war room was crowded with Zephyrian generals and admirals. At the center stood Empress Vex Thara, studying a holographic display of star systems. When Marcus entered, she looked up and smiled. Ah, Marcus. Perfect timing. We have a problem. The display showed a mining station on a distant moon. Red markers indicated rebel positions surrounding the facility. The rebels have taken the dilithium mines on Kepler-7, General Korthak reported. They are holding 200 miners hostage and demanding we release their captured leaders. What are our options? The Empress asked. We could bomb the facility from orbit, suggested Admiral Veltar. It would be quick and efficient. And kill 200 innocent miners, Princess Lirelei said as she entered the room. Marcus was glad to see her. Her perspective always helped in these meetings. The miners are irrelevant, Admiral Veltar replied coldly. The dilithium is what matters. Marcus saw the Empress's expression tighten. 6 months ago, she would have agreed with the Admiral. Now, he could tell, she was thinking differently. What would you suggest, Princess? The Empress asked. A rescue mission. Princess Lirelei replied immediately. Small teams, minimal casualties. Save the miners and capture the rebel leaders alive. Too risky. General Korthak said. We could lose valuable soldiers on a mission with low probability of success. Marcus stepped forward. Your Majesty, may I speak? The Empress nodded. The Admiral is right that bombing would be efficient, Marcus said. And the General is right that a rescue mission is risky. But the Princess is right that saving lives matters more than saving time. He pointed to the holographic display. If you bomb the facility, you solve this problem. But you create a bigger one. Word will spread that the Empress kills innocents to stop rebels. More people will join the rebellion, thinking you are the real enemy. And if the rescue mission fails? Admiral Veltar demanded. Then we try again, Marcus replied simply. We keep trying until we get it right. Because that is what leaders do. They protect the people who depend on them. The room was quiet. Marcus could feel the Zephyrian officers staring at him. 6 months ago, they would have laughed at a human giving them military advice. Now, they listened. The human is correct, Commander Thyssen said suddenly. We have seen the intelligence reports from other sectors. Worlds that are treated with mercy stay loyal longer than worlds that are conquered by force. Mercy is inefficient, Admiral Veltar argued. Maybe, the Empress said quietly. But inefficient solutions that work are better than efficient solutions that fail. General Korthak, prepare 3 assault teams. Commander Thyssen, coordinate with our intelligence network. Admiral Veltar, position the fleet for support but do not fire unless I give direct orders. Yes, Your Majesty, they replied. As the meeting broke up, the Empress approached Marcus and Princess Lirelei. Walk with me, she said. They followed her to her private chambers, a huge room decorated with crystal sculptures and star maps. Through the massive windows, they could see the rebel moon growing larger as the ship approached. You have both taught me much in these months, the Empress said. But I still do not fully understand something. Marcus, why do you continue to risk your life for people you barely know? These miners are strangers to you. No. Marcus thought about the question. Your Majesty, when I was a soldier, I learned that protecting strangers and protecting friends feels the same. When someone needs help, it does not matter if you know them. It only matters that you can help. But logic suggests you should prioritize your own survival, the Empress pressed. Logic is useful, Princess Lirelei said, joining the conversation. But logic without compassion leads to empty victories. You can win every battle and still lose everything that matters. The Empress was quiet for a long moment. My people gave up compassion long ago. We thought it made us weak. It makes you strong, Marcus said. Compassion makes people want to follow you instead of just obeying you. The miners on that moon do not know you personally, but if you save them, they will remember. Their families will remember. Their children will grow up knowing that the Empress cares about ordinary people. And if I fail? If the rescue mission goes wrong, and people die? Then you try to do better next time, Princess Lirelai said gently. Perfect leaders do not exist, Your Majesty. Good leaders are the ones who keep trying to improve. The rescue mission launched 6 hours later. Marcus led one of the 3 assault teams, moving through the mining tunnels like a ghost. His team included Commander Thisazon and 4 Zephyrian soldiers who had learned to trust his tactical judgment. The rebels were well armed but poorly organized. They had expected an orbital bombardment, not a ground assault. Marcus's team reached the hostages first, finding them locked in a storage room deep in the mine. Stay quiet, he whispered to the frightened miners. We are here to help. As his team escorted the civilians to safety, he heard plasma fire echoing through the tunnels. The other teams had engaged the rebels. The fight was intense, but brief. Within an hour, all the rebels were captured and all the hostages were safe. Not a single innocent person died. Back on the flagship, the Empress addressed her senior officers. The mission was a complete success. No civilian casualties, minimal military losses, and we captured valuable intelligence from the rebel leaders. It was also expensive and time-consuming, Admiral Veltar pointed out. A simple bombardment would have achieved the same strategic result. No, Commander Thyssen disagreed. The strategic result is completely different. News of this rescue is already spreading to other worlds. 3 more rebel planets have offered to surrender in exchange for amnesty. The bombing would have made them fight harder. Admiral Veltar looked surprised. Surrender? Why would they do that? Because they now believe the Empress might show mercy, Marcus explained. Fear can control people for a while, but hope controls them forever. As the months passed, this pattern repeated itself across the Empire. Instead of crushing rebellions with overwhelming force, the Empress began offering alternatives. Rebels who surrendered were given trials instead of executions. Worlds that submitted peacefully were rewarded instead of punished. It was not always easy. Some rebels still chose to fight. Some planets had to be conquered the old way. But slowly, the Empire began to change. Marcus found himself becoming more than just a bodyguard. The Empress asked his advice on military matters, diplomatic issues, and questions about human nature. Princess Lirelai became one of the most trusted advisors in the imperial court, teaching Zephyrian leaders about compromise and cooperation. The year passed quickly. When the time came to renew their agreement, Marcus and Princess Lirelai faced a difficult choice. We could go home, Princess Lirelai said, as they stood on the observation deck. Our year of service is complete. We could, Marcus agreed. But would we be abandoning our duty? The Empress still needs to learn. The Empire is still changing. And what about our duty to our own people? The Centauri colony needs leaders too. Marcus looked out at the stars. Somewhere among them was their home world. But here, on this ship, they were also building something important. What does your heart tell you? He asked. Princess Lirelai smiled. My heart tells me that home is not a place. It is the people you choose to protect and serve, whether that is a small colony or a vast empire. When they met with the Empress the next day, their decision was easy. We will stay, Marcus said, but not as your subjects, as your partners. Help us build something new, an empire based on trust instead of fear, loyalty instead of logic, hope instead of conquest. Empress Vexthera looked at both humans for a long time. Then she did something that shocked everyone in the room. She knelt down to their level, bringing her 8-foot frame down to meet their eyes. I would be honored to accept your partnership, she said. Together, we will build an empire worthy of the loyalty you have shown me. Years later, historians would mark this moment as the beginning of the Second Zephyrian Empire. The first empire had been built on crystal and steel. The second would be built on something stronger. It would be built on the bonds between people who chose to protect each other even when logic said they should protect themselves. Marcus Chen had started as a bodyguard protecting one princess. He ended as a teacher, protecting an entire civilization. And in doing so, he proved that humans had something no technology could replicate and no logic could replace. They had the ability to choose hope over fear, together over alone, and love over everything else in the universe.